Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2021 commencement exercise of Shaw University. This is the day on which we recognize the accomplishments of these proud students who now stand before you. We are pleased that you have come to share in this very special occasion. Before we continue, there are a few housekeeping items I solicit your support for. First of all, please either silence your cell phones, turn them off, or put them on vibrate, please. And we solicit your cooperation in helping to sustain the dignity of this happy occasion. We respectfully request that you refrain from engaging in conversation as well as moving about while the commencement exercises are in progress. Once the exercises have begun, only members of the authorized press, authorized photographers, and staff are permitted near the stage. As you can see, this venue is set up to ensure safe distancing protocols. Please refrain from leaving or moving your seats during this ceremony. This is a solemn occasion. It's a happy one too. Please honor it accordingly. If you would now please remain standing as our Dean of the Shaw University Divinity School, Dr. Johnny Bernard Hill, offers the invocation.
Thank you, Madam President. Friends, let us pray. Eternal God, we give you thanks today. We celebrate, O God, the class of 2021, and we invite your divine presence to be with us here today for a class that has truly overcome the pandemic and many other challenges to bring them to this moment. Be with us now, O God, as we celebrate the 2021 class and as we celebrate your presence in this place. In Jesus' name, amen. Please remain standing for the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner and lift every voice and sing. As we adhere to safety protocols, we invite you to follow along by reading the lyrics as the soloist sings. You may now be seated.
We are so overjoyed to be here in this place in person today. And at this time, I would like to recognize some special individuals that are either present in this room or viewing via live stream. Because of the COVID pandemic, many of those that would normally be in place are viewing with us via the wonderful technology that has allowed us to remain connected during this pandemic. First of all, I would like to acknowledge members of the Shaw University Board of Trustees. Would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Are there any elected officials present? Thank you. At this time, would members of the esteemed faculty of Shaw University please stand and be recognized? Would the executive leadership cabinet for Shaw University please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Would those that serve on the staff at Shaw University please rise and be recognized? Thank you. As our board chairman always says, working together works. It takes all of us to make things happen at Shaw University. And now, if you are an alum of Shaw University, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. And now, with the family and friends that are here to celebrate this special day, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. And now, our guest of honor, the graduating class of 2021, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. As we continue with the program, please remember to stay seated and keep the aisles and floor clear. Today is a joyous occasion, and we want all of you to enjoy the wonderful sights and sounds of the day. At this time, I am delighted to present to you Chairman Dr. Joseph N. Bell, who will bring greetings on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
Dr. George, member of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, parents, relatives, and to the 2021 graduating class of Shaw University. Graduates, it is my joy to greet you to bring congratulations to each of them members of the Board of Trustees of Shaw University. We are extremely proud of you today. This is a special day for graduates, but also for your families and friends. And it is exciting to share the joy that you are experiencing today and to celebrate your achievements. Henry Martin Tupper knew that there were boys and girls, men and women, who deserved the right to pursue an education and to use that education to take know that there have been times when we wonder if this day could ever come. But God, yet you have fought a good fight. You have kept the state and you have finished your course. You have shown that you are committed to work hard. You have persevered and endured. And now you can stand proudly today and know that you made it. By the grace of God, you made it. Thus, we thank you. We commend you. We congratulate you. And we ask that you, too, remember Sheryl University. Know that your contributions to the university will help to support another student who will follow in your footsteps. Know that we are not only asking for your finance, but that we send students to take your place. We are looking for huge achievements from class of 2021. Go forth as a member of the 155th Salisbury class of Sheryl University and take your place as a contributor to this great society. Willie Gary, an outstanding film alumnus, says there may be people who have more talent, but there is no excuse for anyone to outwork you. So go get it. Do not let anyone outwork you. Hail 2021 Sheryl University graduates. Hail dear old Sheryl University. May God bless you.
Thank you, Chairman Bell. Your remarks are always inspirational. Your leadership exemplifies our administrative aim and motto. At this time, I would like to make a very special presentation. I had the honor during the 9 a.m. commencement service for the School of Arts, Sciences, and Humanities to confer upon Mr. Travis Mitchell the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, and that was a proud moment for me. And in just a moment, you will hear from Dr. Travis Mitchell. But at this moment, I would like to recognize someone who is very special to the university, very special to the Divinity School, and very special to her many colleagues. I don't know if any of you recognize that there's always a person that leads the procession, the person that has been entrusted with the care and the consistency of our beloved ceremonial traditions. They are special and they must be guarded and kept by a special individual. We have had the privilege of Dr. Sheryl Kirk Dugan serving as University Chief Marshal since 2012. And that has been amazing. Because of her, we have maintained all of the precious traditions, even though we've had lots of changes in leadership. But because we have an amazing Chief University Marshal, we have been able to stay the course. She is especially special to me because she is the individual that presided over my installation as the 18th president of Shaw University. And at this time, as she has announced her retirement from Shaw University, I would like all of you to join me in recognizing Dr. Sheryl Kirk Dugan on this her last keeping of the ceremonies. Madam Chief Marshal, would you join me on the podium? It is a small token, because we can never repay you for all that you have meant to us. But we did not want you to think your service went unnoticed. And so on this, your final role as Chief Marshal for Shaw University, I wanted to give you this token from your president.
Thank you, Madam President, to the Board of Trustees, my esteemed colleagues, faculty, staff, the students I've been able to serve for these many years. It is an honor, and I am ever so grateful. I am so honored to have led you and to understand that this is a sacred moment. This is a sacred place where, as the President mentioned, Dr. Martin and Ms. Sarah Baker Leonard Tupper came to help people to get access to freedom. And so it is your job to know that wherever you are, you represent Shaw University. Wherever you are, let God lead you first. All else in love will be well. Thank you, and God bless you.
And now we will hear from the Shaw University Choir with a musical selection. Thank you, Dr. Cornwall and the Shaw University Choir for that wonderful number. At this time, I am going to invite Trustee Simmons to come forward and introduce today's speaker.
A Raleigh native, Travis Mitchell is currently the Senior Vice President and Chief Content Officer of Maryland Public Television. Formerly, he worked as the Chief Content Officer for the University of North Carolina Television, UNC-TV. Also, he previously served as the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for the Black Family Channel, an Atlanta-based television network. Mitchell grew up on the campus of Shaw University, exploring and playing around the grassy plains of the university grounds. He attended Enloe High School in Raleigh. His father was a Shaw University Hall of Fame basketball player and later coach. His aunt was an administrator, and his uncle, the incomparable Vernon Malone, served on the board of trustees. Numerous members of his family graduated from Shaw University, including his mother. He understands the essential role that HBCUs like Shaw provide for the community. A graduate of another HBCU, Morgan State University, Mitchell earned his Bachelor of Arts in Broadcast Journalism in 1992. He played varsity basketball and was editor of the campus newspaper. He became a student leader at Morgan State, molded by the experiences and memories of Shaw University, and its caliber of leaders formed in the crucible of the civil rights movement. Seeing chronic underfunding of their school, he oversaw a movement that involved sit-ins, marches, and strikes that ultimately led to billions of dollars in capital improvements over the years after the efforts of his peers and himself. His education did not stop after acquiring a degree from Morgan State. Mitchell also obtained a Master of Science in Entrepreneurship and Education from the University of Pennsylvania, and a certificate in Executive Education from the Harvard University John F. Kennedy School of Government. Recently, Mitchell was the co-executive producer of the Emmy Award-winning historical documentary on Shaw University entitled Shaw Rising. He has deep ties to the education and betterment of Raleigh, serving for nearly a decade as president of Communities and Schools of Wake County. Under his tenure at the helm, the program saw a marked increase in the number of students served and a threefold increase in grant funding. His career spans multiple industries, but always with an eye toward improving the lives of others and remembering those who paved the way for him to succeed. I now present to you Dr. Travis Mitchell.
Good afternoon. It is good to be home. And before I release words out of my mouth, I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart are acceptable and pleasing to the Lord. And that every word that I speak that's out of my intellect, may it fall harmlessly to the ground. But only the words that have been sanctioned by heaven, so that it would edify the hearer, and that seed would be planted that will produce a future harvest of righteousness. I want to thank Dr. Dillard, the members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, and staff, and most importantly, you, the class of 2021, for affording me this honor today. For a kid who grew up in Southeast Raleigh and ran around this campus. On behalf of my family and friends, those who are watching and those who are here with me today, I appreciate the opportunity and privilege to address the citizens of what I call my Wakanda, the Kingdom of Shaw University. Now, I am pleased to make an announcement today that at Maryland Public Television, as a part of our Standing Against Racism initiative, we are making arrangements for the documentary Shaw Rising to air this fall on PBS stations across the country. The Shaw Rising story is going to go global. It is my hope that PBS will partner with local PBS affiliates in making sure that we continue to tell the stories, the American stories of these truly amazing, resilient universities. But before I get started, students, I need your help. And parents and friends, I may need some help from you too. Students, I want you to think about those professors. I want you to think about those loved ones. I want you to think about those people that are here today, or maybe they're watching at home. I want you to think about those people who encouraged you when you were at the brink, where you were at the precipice of giving up. I want you to think about those people who spoke life into you when you seemed to be at a place, a crossroads, where you didn't see a way out of this conundrum that we're in called COVID-19. If you can think about them, those who would come here today to celebrate you, I think it would be appropriate if you would join me seated where you are by giving them one of the loudest ovations they've ever heard in their lives. Come on and give it up for those people that stood by you, those people that encouraged you. I'm talking about people that are here today to celebrate you. See, you're being a little bit cool about it, but let me flip the script for a moment. Parents and friends and loved ones, why don't you show the students of the class of 2021 how much you appreciate them by getting on your feet and giving them a standing, rousing ovation, because laid in front of me before us is greatness personified. Class of 2021, I know why you're quiet. You partied last night. That's all right. I ain't mad at you. With Mother's Day being tomorrow, it is important to note that my remarks today have been inspired by the women in my life who have helped me become a better man. My mama, my grandmothers, my aunts, my cousins, my wife Angie, my daughter Trey, a rising junior honor student at my alma mater, Morgan State University. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers. In a real sense, the miracle of single mothers is similar to the miracle of HBCUs. They nurture, they protect, they provide every available resource for their children. And the reward for mothers, for those of us who grew up in the hood, you can talk about anybody, but you better not talk about my mama. My father, Ira Mitchell, was an all-CIAA basketball player and coach here at Shaw. My stepfather, John R. Johnson, was a basketball player and a coach here at Shaw as well. My late uncle, Senator Vernon Malone, was the head of the Wake County schools. It was on his watch that Wake County desegregated and provided a roadmap for the nation to follow in integrating its schools. He too was a Shaw University graduate and member of the Board of Trustees here at Shaw. Now, all of these and many others that I have not named influenced me greatly But everyone who knows me and understands me understands uniquely that I am unashamedly a mama's boy. My father put basketball in my hands, while my mother put books in my hands. And as it turns out, my mother was the wiser of the two. Because if you ever Google me, you'll see that my assists per game and my points per game were lower than my GPA. So my mother must have known something that my father didn't know. So today, I want to share with you words of wisdom that Mama said. But first, I want to share a little funny story that I hope will put the words of Mama into perspective. There was a soldier who was overseas, and he was from a farm in the South where his mother was. And he was thinking about a present to send her for her birthday, Dr. Dillard. And he searched, and he searched, and he searched. But finally, he found the perfect gift. It was an exotic bird that spoke 5 languages. On the eve of his mother's birthday, he called his mother excited and said, "Mama, did you enjoy your gift?" She said, "Son, it was good." Now he thought for a minute. He said, now, Mama, that bird spoke 5 languages. I know you didn't eat that bird. Mama said softly, "Son, if it spoke 5 languages, why didn't it say something then?" Now, like my grandmother would say, the soldier had book sense, but he didn't have common sense. Mama understood that the gift of giving is not about giving people what you want them to have, but giving the gift that keeps on giving, a gift that lifts, a gift that lives. Because givers, by definition, have a definite purpose in their giving. I like for us to take a closer look at this purpose. When God needed a giver to start a school in Raleigh with a motto for Christ and humanity in 1865, he called a former Union soldier, Henry Martin Tupper, and his wife Sarah to come south and defy the Klan, disrupt the societal norms at the day, have the audacity to believe that newly freed slaves could learn to read and write and become captains of industry and masters of their destiny. He founded the mother of all HBCUs, Shaw University, gave birth to the first 4-year medical school in the country, the first pharmacology school, the first law school for newly freed slaves, as well as gave birth to North Carolina A&T State University. Trained James Shepard, therefore launched North Carolina Central University, Elizabeth City State University, Fayetteville State University, all owe their founding to Shaw University. What would have happened if Henry Martin Tupper, when the Klan came and found out what he was doing, threatening to lynch him, what had happened if he hadn't have fallen on his knee and lifted his hands to the heavens from where his help come from and prayed to the Lord his God who sent him to Raleigh, refused to be denied, refused to be turned around, faced fear in the face, and stood flat-footed by faith and said, "Ain't nobody gonna turn me around"? What happened if he had quit? We wouldn't be standing here today. There wouldn't be a North Carolina A&T. There wouldn't be a Fayetteville State University. Sometime God has a plan for you that only requires you to take a step of faith. When God needed a giver to teach students how to organize the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, he called Ella Baker, who encouraged students to sit down in cafeterias and lunch counters across the country to strike a blow to segregation. When God needed a giver to prophetically size up the importance of SNCC and his generation's gift to America, he called one of Ella Baker's proteges, the Reverend Dr. David C. Forbes Jr., who said, "No SNCC, No Civil Rights Act, no Voting Rights Act, no Obama. When God needed a giver to take Shaw to another level, he called one of her own, James Cheek, a Shaw University graduate, to defy the odds, expand the school's footprint, buildings, and programs as his 8th president at the age of 30 years old. When God needed a giver to stabilize Shaw University, he called Dr. Talbot O. Shaw, who was the dean at Morgan State University in Baltimore, where he was to become the 12th president of Shaw University and would lead Shaw toward the path of recovery and renaissance with the motto, strides to excellence, why not the best? But when God needed a giver to build a bridge to Shaw's bright future, he raised up Dr. Paulette Diller from Mount Airy, North Carolina, and equipped her to become Shaw's 18th president to help students maximize their potential. Somebody ought to give a hand clap of praise to Shaw's 18th president. But when God needed a giver to trust in him with starting over in life while raising a 3-year-old son, when it seems if her highest dreams, her deepest hope, her most lofty aspiration had been dashed on the rocks of despair after her marriage to my father didn't work out, he called my mama, Patricia Malone Johnson, and gave her a prophetic phrase that would anchor the souls of those she counseled or taught or led during her more than 50 years as an educator, principal, and counselor. This prophetic utterance would help them learn how to overcome any adversity. Mama said, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. To educators everywhere, Mama said, don't give up on the young teenage mother who is considering dropping out of school because she has no hope. Just tell her, when the going gets tough, don't give up on the 9th grader that feels a little out of place because he may be a few years older than everybody in class. Just tell him, when the going gets tough, don't give up on the student who's struggling to read so he misbehaves in class to draw attention away from his reading disability. Just tell him, when the going gets tough, don't give up on the young man or woman who is working 2 or 3 jobs at the age of 16 and doesn't have time for school because they are the breadwinners of their family. Just tell them, when the going gets tough, don't give up on the homeless student whose drug-addicted mother and father are trying to kick the habit but can't seem to get over the hump. Just tell them, when the going gets tough. See, these are real people. These are real stories of people whose lives change and are successful today because what Mama learned at Shaw, what was put in her DNA, wouldn't allow her to watch the lives of people be discarded on the trash heap of unfulfilled promise. She decided to share the words of wisdom that fueled their faith. And I want to share a few more words of Mama's wisdom that I hope fuels your faith to get you to overcome these tough times. To those who are ready to cave in and quit, throw in the towel because of COVID-19 and the third curveball it has thrown you, Mamas would say, when the going gets tough. To the lovers of this land of liberty, these United States of America, who are blessed to still reside in the land of the living, but are witnessing the assault on voting rights on one hand, the shooting of unarmed black men on the other hand, and the efforts to resuscitate the spirit of Jim Crow, we must take a breath for those who can no longer breathe and reinforce that Black Lives Matter. Class of 2021, your lives matter. HBCUs matter. Shaw prepared you to seize this moment. It's in your DNA. You can't help it, but you must refuse to meander in the halls of mediocrity with those who settle for good when greatness is your destination. These times belong to you. Before you, others sat down long ago so that you could stand up to the challenges we face today and step into your destiny. When greatness is your destination, the power lies within you to stand up to racism, to stand up against inequality, to stand up against inequity, to stand up against injustice. If not now, then when? If not you, then who? Words are powerful. Words are seeds. Sowers sow seeds like farmers. Henry Martin Tupper was a sower. Ella Baker was a sower. Mama was a sower. But you cannot reap what and where you have not sown. The seed of our faith and the hope for a better tomorrow must be sown today. Now faith, our belief in action, is the substance of things we hope for, our dreams, and evidence of what we have not yet seen come to pass. The evidence that we believe in what we have not yet obtained is in what we do, what we say, and how we act every day. Our minds are fertile ground. Our thoughts are seeds. And every seed and thought of disadvantage has an equivalent seed or thought of advantage. Whatever we put in our minds will grow. You plant an apple seed, an apple tree will grow. You plant an orange seed, an orange tree will grow. If we plant the seeds, something is going to grow. Think we can, think we can't. Either way, we are right. Adversity is a weed that tries to kill our seed, that carries our vision for our hope for the future. Many told me that I'd never make it out of Southeast Raleigh, never make it out of the shadows of Shaw University, never play basketball for Enloe High School or go to college, much less play basketball in college. But Mama said, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. The words of my mama came true. I received a double scholarship to go to Morgan State University, a full honors scholarship, an athletic scholarship to play basketball. But when my tenure as a basketball player was in question, God gave me a new identity. God got me going as a leader off the court. I served as the editor of the campus newspaper called the MSU Spokesman. At 19, I stepped into my destiny by becoming the spokesperson for a student movement against the state of Maryland's systemic and historic practice of racism, with its historic underfunding of Morgan State University and 3 other state-supported HBCUs. But on March 6, 1990, God had a different plan. The God of justice showed up and raised up a group of leaders, students who joined with our president, Dr. Earl S. Richardson, and our alumni, challenged the system through a prolonged campaign that included sit-ins, hunger strike, 40-mile march to Annapolis. Our efforts during this moment in time became the catalyst to help our Alma Mater receive $1.5 billion to improve campus buildings over a 30-year period. But God didn't stop there. God is a God of justice. God is a God of recompense. And I believe in these times he's going to give us double for our trouble. Just recently, sparked by Dr. Richardson's leadership and actions, his vision, the seed of hope he possessed in his heart, despite being put down, kicked down, shunned, but despite being told now's not the time because of the budget, the Maryland General Assembly and the governor settled the 15-year-old lawsuit on behalf of a coalition of Maryland's 4 state-supported HBCUs to the tune of $577 million. To my naysayers who doubted me and said I would never make it, Mama said, don't tell them I told you so. Don't quote Emerson or Thoreau. Rather quote the great philosopher Kool Moe Dee, who posed a rhetorical question to America in 1987, how you like me now? HBCUs like Shaw develop the raw talent in their students, and are breeding ground for emerging leaders. See, I'm not looking at students who are graduating in 2020. I'm looking at a CEO. I'm looking at a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I'm looking at a captain of industry. I'm looking at a social change agent. I'm looking at the next Dr. King. I'm looking at the next Jesse Jackson. I'm looking at the next Earl Graves. I'm telling you that there's seeds of greatness on the inside of you. No Shaw, no Morgan, no me. To corporations and captains of industry, you must learn what Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Ford discovered during their trips to historically black Tuskegee in the turn of the 20th century, in the 1900s. Tuskegee is in Alabama, where at the time of Booker T. Washington, there were over 3,000 lynchings in the South. But there was greatness and innovation inside of George Washington Carver that demanded that the captains of industries come to him to unlock the mysteries of the universe. They discovered that it makes good sense to invest in HBCUs. Despite historic underfunding due to Jim Crow laws, HBCUs have produced the most black doctors, lawyers, engineers, scientists, and teachers in the history of this nation. If you're going to clap, do it right. If you're going to celebrate excellence, celebrate it right. If you're going to celebrate yourselves, give yourselves a round of applause. HBCUs have kept America globally competitive by supplying a trained labor force that would otherwise be marginalized to the fringes of society. The value proposition for HBCUs like Shaw is a proven track record and a proof of performance that cannot be denied. Corporate America, you must heed the wisdom of Dr. Maya Angelou, whose words speak to the extraordinary resilience of HBCUs. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream. I am the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. To the class of 2021. If my mama was standing here today, she would tell you what she told me. Shaw University planted a seed of greatness on the inside of you that enables you to rise above the challenges and obstacles you or our nation face today. Like a farmer, you must learn to water and fertilize your ground, your minds, your hearts by speaking positive words. When people write you off and say that you can't do something, you must respond in faith by letting the words, I can, I am, and I will come bursting forth out of your mouths. You must keep these words in your hearts, thinking and tending and planning on these words day and night. The students of SNCC and our courageous civil rights leaders changed this nation by repeating over and over and over again the anthem of the movement until it anchored their souls in faith despite facing sure death, despite facing bodily harm, despite facing an uncertain future. They said, I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I want to keep on walking, keep on talking, marching into freedom land. With this faith, you'll learn to turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones. With this faith, you'll learn to turn obstacles into opportunities. With this faith, you'll learn to turn roadblocks into road maps and pain into gain. Once you plant the seeds of sacrifice and hope deep in your ground, your hearts, the pressures of life will crack the hull or the covering of that seed, and roots of faith will form, anchoring them in the courage of your convictions. As the roots form, you will see the results of your labor while the seeds begin to sprout and grow and mature. The tree of success will yield the fruit of greatness for the next generation and manifest the promise of the future. The Bible tells us that a good tree bears good fruit. I tell you, the graduates of the class of 2021, you are good fruit. You are destined to do greater things than those who came before you, including me. Gaylord Nelson, founder of Earth Day, said, the ultimate test of a leader's conscience may be their willingness to sacrifice something today for future generations whose words of thanks may not be heard. To those mentors and role models who have impacted my life and the lives of these present and future leaders seated before me today, your leadership and your excellence has spoken volumes to a world needing inspiration. And your efforts will never, ever be forgotten. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Travis. Didn't he deliver, class of 2021? Thank you for that amazing message that has now set the tone for what we are about to do. We are about to do what you are all here for. We are about to begin to confer the degrees of today. So again, join me in thanking Travis Mitchell for that amazing commencement speech. Thank you.
Madam President, the Vice President for Academic Affairs now presents the candidates for undergraduate degrees to be conferred.
Madam President, I present to you the candidates for the Bachelors of Arts and Bachelors of Science degrees. Candidates, please rise. Madam President, these candidates have been certified by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees, Bachelors of Arts and Bachelors of Science, and are recommended for receiving the degree with specification according to the discipline in which they have qualified.
Upon recommendation of the faculty, and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you individually the degree Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science, with the rights, privileges, duties, and responsibilities hereto appertaining, and cause you to be vested with the hood appropriate to this degree. Please be seated.
Madam President, as Vice President of Academic Affairs on behalf of the Dean for the School of Business and Professional Studies, it is my honor to present the graduates for the Bachelors of Arts degrees. Graduates, please rise, follow the Marshal, and advance to the stage as your names are called.
Crystal Ortiz.
You may be seated. Madam President, as Vice President of Academic Affairs, on behalf of the Dean of the School of Business and Professional Studies, it is my honor to present the graduates for the Bachelors of Science degree. Graduates, please rise, follow the Marshal, and advance to the stage as your names are called.
Lakeisha Monique Collins.
Deja Vu Akinlabi.
Glenn Cannon Austin.
Natalie Dunson.
Taylor Nicole Frazier.
Nakia Massengale.
Beyonce Wilburn, Miss Shaw University.
Corinthian McPatrick Hudson.
Das D. Sturkey.
Hansmia Rashanis Green.
Rashad Devando Jones.
Mariah Gabrielle Scott.
Martavis Grady.
Jessica Kilpatrick Brown.
Janae Payne.
Charles Singletary.
Maya Sanaya Becker.
Jerome Boyce.
Jaleel Hassan Scroggins.
Robert Washington III.
Ariana Fleming.
Trivon Carter.
Sienna Hunt.
Brielle Eliasia Williams.
April Lene Bonner.
Nika Kadich.
Dominique K. Higgins.
Anthony Carter.
Keon K. Tyson.
Assad Shaw.
Sydney Austin McLaurin.
Jeremy DeMarcus Anthony.
Ian James Finley.
Thank you for assisting with the conferring of the undergraduate degrees. At this time, while we are catching up with the photograph session, I would like to introduce some very special people that I did not introduce earlier. I'd like to introduce the family and recognize the family of Mr. Travis Mitchell. So would you please stand and be recognized? And now I'd like to introduce the folks that really run the university, and that is the Student Government Association. All of you that are members of student government, our royal court or hold any office, please stand and be recognized. Thank you very much. All right, let's practice your mantra. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And this little break here is okay because you have come through an amazing year to be at this place and at this time. So we can wait long as we need to because we are just so grateful to be here celebrating this wonderful occasion.
Okay. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to lead the graduates in the turning of their tassels. Undergraduate candidates, please rise. The symbolic turning of the tassel is one of the final acts to denote one's transition from candidate to graduate. Class of 2021, please turn your tassels. You may be seated. Thank you.
Madam President, the Vice President for Academic Affairs now presents the candidates for graduate degrees to be conferred.
Madam President, I present to you the candidates for the Masters of Science in Curriculum and Instruction, Masters of Arts in Christian Education, and Masters of Divinity degrees. Candidates, please rise. Madam President, these candidates have been certified by the faculty as having completed all requirements for the degrees Masters of Science in Curriculum Instruction, Masters of Arts in Christian Education, and Masters of Divinity, and are recommended for receiving the degree with specifications according to the discipline in which they have qualified.
Upon recommendation of the faculty, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you individually the degrees Master of Science in Curriculum and Instruction, Master of Arts in Christian Education, and Master of Divinity, with the rights, privileges, duties, and responsibilities hereto appertaining, and cause you to be vested with a hood appropriate to this degree. Please be seated.
Madam President, as Vice President of Academic Affairs, on behalf of the Dean for the School of Business and Professional Studies, it is my honor to present the graduates for the Master of Curriculum and Instruction. Graduates, please rise. Follow your marshal and advance to the stage as your name is called.
Manya Michael.
Madam President, as the Dean of the School of Divinity, it is my honor to present the graduates of the Master of Arts in Christian Education and Master of Divinity. Graduates, please rise. Follow your Marshal and advance to the stage as your name is called.
Thank you, Dean Hill, for assisting with the conferring of graduate degrees.
Okay, at this time, it gives me great pleasure to lead the graduates in the turning of their tassels. Graduate candidates, please rise. The symbolic turning of the tassel is one of the final acts to denote one's transition from candidate to graduate. Class of 2021, please turn your tassel.
You may now be seated. And now it is one of my great pleasures to introduce to you the Shaw University SGA President, Mr. Ian Finley, who will bring the challenge to the graduates. Thank you.
A few weeks ago, as I was preparing to bring remarks on this occasion, I remembered a moment in history that I would like to share with you, because sometimes the only way to explain the present is to revisit the past. It was Wednesday, April 3rd, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee. Over 2,000 people packed the Bishop Charles Mason Temple on the evening of a severe thunderstorm to hear the celebrated civil rights leader speak. The people were not aware that the celebrated speaker was unwell and sent his best friend instead. As the friend walked to the podium, he could sense the disappointment of the people. I don't blame them. They came to see a king. He left the podium, called the hotel, and told his ill friend to brave the weather because the people need to see him. So he got dressed, went to the church, and when he got there, he could not believe the amount of people that had came to see him. He said, and I quote, "I am delighted to see each of you here tonight in spite of the storm. You reveal that you are determined to go on anyhow. You reveal that you are determined to go on anyhow." Madam President, Board of Trustees, executive team, family, friends, faculty, and staff, and the relentless class of 2021, an enthusiastic greetings. I am humbled to stand here before you as your student body president, but I am most proud to sit among you as a member of this graduating class. Graduates, you are standing at the finish line. Your heart rate is normalized, your breathing is steady, and by all indication, the race is over. But it was by no means easy. You have endured unprecedented hurdles, and you had every reason to quit, but you showed up. With a 40% graduation rate among black people, seeing black and brown people being killed by a justice system, when a pandemic has destroyed normalcy, you had every reason to quit, but you showed up. In anticipation of this day, the anticipation of this day was the wind that set your sail in a forward direction. For a long time, I could not understand your tenacity, for showing up in spite of the hurdles and hardships you have overcome. But I found the explanation in that little church in Memphis, Tennessee, 53 years ago. Who you are lies in who you came from. It's the graduates for me. Look at you, sitting in your glory, masked and still magical, targeted and still triumphant. I say to you what Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said to the people in the night in the middle of the storm. You had every reason to quit, but you showed up. I would be remiss if I did not say a few words that I hope will echo in your minds in the moments that you need it most. Getting your college degree is an achievement, yes, but it is not the mountaintop, my brothers and sisters. You are still on the climb. This day marks the end of an era. No more football games in the fall, no more Springfest in April, no fried chicken Wednesday, no fish Fridays. Sure days will be missed. However, there is something exceptional about endings. Every ending moves us into a beginning that is better because of it. That night in Memphis, as Dr. Martin Luther King was summoned from his hotel room, no one knew that the next day, standing on the balcony of that same hotel, struck by a bullet of a coward, he would fall to his death. It was an end, but oh, what a beginning. The end of a man strengthened a movement, and that movement manifested the type of black excellence we see represented here today. This month marks 1 year since George Floyd lied face down at the scene of a crime, fighting for his breath for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That was his end. But when he went down, humanity stood up and fought for a beginning that would inch us closer to equality and seal Derek Chauvin's fate with the words guilty. My fellow graduates, we are at an end, but I ask you, how? How are you about to begin? We are privileged to be in an environment in this uncertain time where we can say that we proclaim a God that does what can never change. In fact, it is in these times when you think that God can do it that he says, watch me do it. He is the original mic dropper. His words went viral before social media. His truth was verified before Instagram. He is relevant without a like or a share. Stand in him, I say. His strength is made perfect in weakness. His strength is made perfect in insecurity. His strength is made perfect in insecurity. His strength is made perfect in indifference. So when you look down, I say, look up to the hills from whence cometh your strength. You are an overcomer. So whenever you are at an end and they move the finish line, go on anyhow. If you are tired, rest and go on anyhow. Take it from an island boy birthed in a tiny country in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. If you go on anyhow, you would be surprised to find out where you'll end up. Your greatest flex in life would be that when you were counted out, you showed up. In my favorite Marvel movie, The Black Panther, the most powerful line came within the first 10 minutes. As T'Challa the king was taking a beating, his mother shouted to him, show them who you are. In case you need a reminder, my brothers and sisters, you are the curators of cool, the standards of style. You shift culture with your left hand and vote in change with your right. You are the composer and the instrument, the stimulus and the package, the teacher and the student. You are all that. There is an essence about you. Your parents call it mojo. Your homies call it swag. Your haters call it audacity. And your legends call it the Mamba mentality. Show them who you are. Greatness is waiting on you. And it is not enough to hope you get there. Hope is not a strategy, my brothers and sisters. You have to do the work that greatness requires of you. So I challenge you to not only show up, but show out. You cannot create footprints if you tiptoe. There are rooms where your arrival is anticipated. Show up, King. There is still work to be done. 53 years after Dr. King spoke of a promised land, we are not there yet. We were not given the benefit of a roadmap, and the only thing getting us closer to the promised land is our instinctive charge to go on. You do not have the luxury of walking carefree into success. You belong to a community who walked so you could run, who shrunk so you could stretch. So I stand here by myself, but not for myself. I am Ian Finley, seed of Bahamian soil, son of Ian Senior and Rhonda, grandson of Madeline Mitchell and Beatrice, and I go in proxy on their behalf. It is my hope that one day I will pass the baton to my little brother Ethan, so that one day I can knock down every single hurdle so that his path could be made clearer. My brothers and sisters, when we push, we have the responsibility to pull so more than George and Wheezy can move on up. In closing, on behalf of the graduating class, we say thank you to our families for helping to make sure that our dreams were not deferred nor denied. Thank you to Shaw University and all that make it great. We grew up here, and we are a far cry of the scared little kids that our parents dropped off at your doorsteps. It is our hope that you are as proud to be our roots as we are as proud to be your branches. This is it. What can I say? My classmates, my bandmates, my den of bears, every day for the rest of your lives, get up, look up, and show up. I'll see you at the mountaintop. Keep moving, because the promised land awaits.
Oh my. We've got when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And now we got greatness is in you, but you must show up. And show up not only for yourself, but for all those who depend on you. Thank you, Ian. That was amazing. At this time, we welcome our National Alumni Association President, Trustee Delphine Parker.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, graduates. The Oath of Allegiance can be found in your program book on page 5. I'll give you a couple seconds to find that. When you have found it, please rise, graduates, and read along with me the Oath of Allegiance. I state your name, hereby solemnly pledge perpetual allegiance to Alma Mater, in appreciation for the opportunities for development afforded me as a student at Shaw University. I will sustain my interest in Shaw and will affiliate the Alumni chapter nearest me. I will, on a regular basis, support the university by participating in alumni chapter activities, and as my financial circumstances permit, send financial support to Alma Mater. Through involvement with fellow alumni, I shall do my best to countenance the ideals and tradition of Alma Mater. I pledge as a citizen to portray the standard thus implied, performing positive service to community, state, and nation, and so live as ever to bring honor and adoration to Alma Mater. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Trustee Parker. Shaw University is pleased with the caliber of leadership which has been displayed by the President of the National Alumni Association. And now for that bittersweet moment where I give the farewell statement to the graduating class, the graduates, I should say, of the class of 2021. Your names are now inscribed on the pages of the history of Shaw University. What you have done will appear in a chapter we've titled Triumphs in Resilience. But the story that you've written here is just the beginning. We have prepared you, and we have prepared you well. Now you must go write the story in the book of life. For those of you that are graduating from the Shaw University Divinity School, you have an important assignment. You are to go through every hill, valley, and tell the good news. The world needs to hear the good news of a God that will bring you through no matter what you're up against. As Mr. Finley said, all he asks you to do is show up. In order for you to mend our broken world, you must use the tools in your possession. You must use your voice, your vote, and your vocation to transform the world. Congratulations, graduates of the class of 2021. And now, as we conclude, thank you for assisting us in maintaining compliance with COVID-19 restrictions. I know it was tough, but you did it, and thank you. As we continue to adhere to safety protocols, we invite you to follow along by reading the lyrics when we sing the Alma Mater, followed by the Benediction and the recessional of the platform party, faculty, staff, and students. Family members and guests should exit using the Cabarrus Street or Marriott Tunnel exit to meet your graduates at Shaw University. Your graduates will exit with the university marshals and will receive their diploma from the C.C. Spalding Gymnasium on the campus. Now please stand for the singing of the Alma Mater, followed by the benediction by Dr. Johnny Bernard Hill.
Now for the benediction. Let us pray. Now may the grace of our God, who sustains, who strengthens and empowers, be with us now, henceforth, and forevermore. In Jesus' name, amen. Please remain standing to honor our graduates during the recessional.